All right, this is Site Plan Review Committee meeting, April 24th, 2018. Committee members in attendance today are Police Chief James Guido, Code Consultant Pat DeMarco, City Assessor Dana Banchiforti, Paul Chivas from the Fire Department, and Frank Stringy, City Planner. The first item on the agenda is 425 Revere Beach Parkway for new construction. Hi.
And pretty much the only thing outstanding with the stamp plan for the fire department. Okay.
Okay.
Pretty much.
Do you have a certified plot plan there?
It's the modular, so this is all the state things for the modular, but it's the stamp plans, fire department. There's the floor plans, there's the site plan review letter, and the certified
Have a site
plot
plan
plan.
review letter?
That was from years ago, saying it was a buildable lot.
Yeah.
So I'm coming back.
Okay. This is for a single-family home.
Yes.
Okay. Garage under.
Oh, this is the hillside, I remember.
Yeah. Did you start your process for your curb cut permit with DCR?
Yes, the excavator's working with that. I know it's got an existing curb cut right now.
But there is an existing curb cut?
Yes.
In the same location?
Yes,
Okay.
but I think it can be extended a bit, but.
Yeah, you still have to go through them for curb cut renewal
Correct.
because it's not a usable curb cut presently.
Are you building a retaining wall?
Yes,
Nick's not here, but you're gonna have to bring him a stamp draw, how high?
we're gonna try and grade as much as we can, so it could be anywhere 3 to 8, I think, on the
If it's
left.
over, what, I think
4
5
feet.
feet, you need
Yeah.
a stamp drawing.
Right.
Nick will definitely want that,
Yep,
okay. Unless you use the foundation as part of the.
yeah, we're gonna use that on one side, but on
So
one
you
side,
may want
we're-
that stamped by the engineer.
yeah, so that's all by the company.
So you show heating unit in
This
the
was
attic,
already here, Frank.
Yeah.
Correct, I think that's
so nothing in the basement?
The other way.
Is it the other way?
The other way.
I think we,
Going in the basement with the chase going up.
This is your original right
This
here?
is, this 3
yes.
stories, because the back's
The
too.
backs to the average.
It's gonna be to go on what you uploaded.
No question that. Hey, Bob. Question on the number of stories. So did you do the calculations to show that 50% of the basement is below grade?
yes, and it's gonna be a 5-foot pitch for a 30-foot height, I think.
So you don't have any rear elevations of the property, you just show the front elevations? Your 2 stories in the rear, 2.5 stories in the rear, correct?
Correct, right.
Okay. That's good. Yeah, you have to provide that calculation to the building inspector to show that this basement area and garage does not constitute a story.
Right,
So once you have that, otherwise you meet zoning compliance with everything else, and your height is under 30 feet. So just get that calculation confirmed for the building inspector before you get a building permit. That'll be in the site plan review letter you get also.
Okay.
Everything we do now is e-permitting, and it's online. Did you file this to e-permitting?
nope, I've had the paper one, and I just did the computerized thing to get this meeting, so I don't know. I didn't do any e-permitting yet.
Yeah,
Yes.
you're going to have to go on
This is
Citizen
not
Serve
good.
and put all your documents on through the e-permitting, so all the departments can, that's how they issue the permits now for electrical, plumbing, fire, and engineering, and building.
Flood line or anything like that?
No, no.
So where's the heating attic or basement?
Basement, right, I think we just drew the attic just in case, to cover our bases.
Yeah, you should bring them back by and have her make modifications, so we have the basement and the heating unit.
It shows on the smoke and
Then you should definitely, you should bring that
yeah,
back
we'll
by.
show the loop going down to the basement.
Take this and take that set of plans and go back by and see who's down there. And let her cross reference what's on here versus here. Especially that's a change. The other issue is if there's a CO unit tied into the heating unit, that has to be tied into the fire alarm system. So let her take a look at this again, along with the final set of plans that you have put together before you upload. So let her mark these. She'll mark this onto these, and you'll be able to upload that set.
Show mark it, yes, please,
Yeah.
so you'll know it's on the electrical print right here.
Right.
Shows it on.
She'll know. Yeah. So just bring this set by with that. Okay. It'd be easier to do that first and then go apply. So that way she's not trying to look at this and go referencing this.
Okay, so that this is, the paper is out, so there's no way I can walk in and cut the check to get the permit?
They'll give you, there's somebody there to give you assistance on how to do that. What I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna give you a hard copy of the site plan review letter. I can get that started, and I'll have it in my office, on the third floor here at City Hall, in an envelope with this address. Now, is this the address the city engineer gave you this address?
Assessor's office engineer, correct, yep,
Okay, all right. So that's what we're using, 425 Parkway.
correct.
Okay. All right, so anytime after Thursday morning, come to my office, pick up that site plan review letter, and I'll also put it in on the e-permitting system,
Okay,
okay?
all right. Do you know how, any idea, because I guess I was here 4 weeks ago, and it was just, I said, it's real simple. Come
Yeah.
back next weekend, and I'm pulling my hair out. But,
Yeah.
you know, once I get these, and I walk into City Hall, I'm gonna be good to go to upload everything and cut a check to get the
Do you have
permit.
do you have an electronic copy of the forms?
I don't think so, no.
I can get them on a PDF file.
My suggestion would be come by with that paper copy, review the smoke detector locations with her, she'll redline them. PDF, whatever drawing she marks up, along with the rest of this. If you have the electronic PDF set, that's what you're gonna need to upload on e-permit. That's what everyone needs to see to review.
So that's provided by the factory, the PDF file. So
All
I
right,
can
so take that
forward
PDF, I would
Okay.
take that, then I would bring the paper by to see Lieutenant Leary again, 8 to 10, 3:30 to 4:30. She will review what's on the electronic drawing versus the city, what we require, okay? Make the appropriate markings on there, she'll stamp those drawings. You may have to take a couple of those drawings and get scan those in, turn them into a PDF. So take the full set from the factory and just supplement with the markups. I'm only telling you to do that because it'll make it easier. What she's gonna do is if you take the PDF and you upload that, she's gonna give you online comments, which is gonna delay the process. If you just come by and get it marked up with her, and then upload those marked up drawings along with the full set, you'll be all set from us. You'll get it approved right away. Okay, that's the best way to do it, to get it through us. Pat, I think is gonna. Pat, you want a paper set?
Yes, yes.
Pat, so Pat is the plan reviewer, you need to get him a full-size paper set for a review, but he wants our stamp on it. So that's the,
And you'll probably like pull a foundation. So just go on the building department, tell me you're all set here, and have construction.
Okay, that's why I was hoping,
Okay.
just at least break ground, because,
Right.
Yeah, I mean, in
So
the
after
interim,
you can get a foundation permit, so you can get rolling.
e-permitting started just 2 weeks ago, so
Okay.
you're kind of caught in the transition.
right, oh, yes, absolutely, as long as we make it through.
All right, but that hard copy of that site plan review letter will be on upstairs Thursday morning, you can come get it.
Anytime after
And I'll put it in the e-permitting, so they'll have it, okay?
Okay, excellent. And Mr. DeMarco needs a hard paper
Yes.
copy of the
We'll review the
found.
drawings, yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, bye.
Okay, site plan for 151 Lincoln Street. How can we help you?
We applied because we want to repair the wall on the front of the house and the floor.
You have an existing foundation wall or a
It's
retaining wall?
I have photos in here.
This guy wants a single family, wow. New construction.
Oh, okay. Yes. Yeah, you shouldn't be here for that, site plan review. You should just, yeah, I have you. All right, okay. So you're going to repair the existing wall, or you're going to, no.
Just replace that wall.
So you're going to demo this wall and replace it?
Yeah.
Okay, with a new wall,
Improve the floor
okay.
in front of the house.
So the wall's over 4 feet, you're going to need
We're gonna make it a little bit smaller.
if it's under 4 feet, you're okay, but anything over 4 feet, you need a structural plan to be approved by the city engineer, okay? So factor that in when you design the wall. But otherwise, it's a straight building permit through the building department. There's no need to come before a site plan review.
So what I need to do?
You need a plan for the wall. Drawing. Okay, stamped by a structural engineer, if the wall is over 4 feet tall.
So you're telling us what you're gonna do, you need to put it on.
Yeah, I want to know what I need to
Well,
do.
So how high's the wall?
You need to tell us, what you're planning to do. You're saying you're gonna make it less than 4 feet. You gotta show us a drawing saying that's what you need. Bring that into the building department, and they'll tell you what your next step is. If it's above 4 feet, it becomes a structural item, and you need to have an engineer look at it.
Okay.
Okay, if it's under 4 feet, you can have a mason do it with a,
Now it's-
license and everything else.
4 feet more.
So, let me see your picture. Nah, it's got some height
The ground below these blocks.
on the other side.
Yeah, and
So
the
from here
inside
down,
is,
if that's less than
the-
4 feet and you're eliminating that, you can get a landscaper to draw you a little drawing.
so we don't need a permission for that?
Over to the right. Let me see your picture.
Yeah, let me see.
You should just go see a building inspector.
Yes, there's no need for that.
Just go over the building department, show them what you want to do, and they'll instruct you.
Yeah, there's no need before site plan review.
Oh, okay. My wife just filled out the application, so I don't know.
Oh, okay,
what we-
okay.
Your fortified block.
So the ground in the other side is
Yeah.
like,
Right, so you just go see.
Fine, just a building permit, go over to the building department now, explain what you want to do, and they'll tell you what you need.
so where's the building?
Right next door, the building next door.
On the next door?
Yeah, go around the back, see the
All right.
building department.
Oh, 4 o'clock?
4 to 5 or in the morning.
Yeah,
Okay, right, thank you.
okay.
Yeah, I go there and ask, but they say you need to fill it up. Okay, all right, thanks. And I-
How does everything end up here?
I have no idea. I'm supposed to. Okay, 320 Revere Beach Boulevard.
Morning, Mr. Chairman.
Good morning. Okay.
So,
Before we start, can you just give us a summary of the zoning permits? There's a special permit. If you have a copy of that with you, we'll need that. Yep.
I submitted some plans for the board members to look at. The city council granted a special permit on April 2nd, 2018. That special permit allowed for the modification of non-conforming uses. There are 2 non-conforming uses on the site. There's a fast food restaurant known as Bianchi's and a restaurant bar. So we're taking those particular non-conforming uses and changing the location of them and building within the structure, now a mixed-use structure with about 2,500 square feet. The other special permit granted by the honorable members of the city council is 1740-030, modification of non-conforming structures. Here, we're proffered the reconstruction of 3 non-conforming structures with a variety of nonconformities. The council adopted the November 22nd, 2017 recommendations by this honorable body. There's the recommendations for you, Mr. Chairman. This is the special permit for you. And at this point, it's the only really, our view is that we're ready to move forward on building permit. Mr. Salvo is ready to make a presentation. My expectation is that you'll issue your building permit recommendations to the building inspector. The only thing we didn't address, I believe, in the November 22nd, 2017 recommendations is the need for a 148 license, and I believe there is a recommendation for an order as a condition. So they're presently before the Conservation Commission seeking the order of conditions, and Deputy Cheevers is reviewing the licensing application filed by the applicant. Mr. Cheevers, we may have an approved license application for the council to look at when?
I'm in the process of looking at it right now, and one of the questions the chief asked me to clarify is the tandem parking. So whether that has been approved or not.
Yeah, the tandem parking was part of the relief provided by the council, and it was in the package.
Is it only 6 spaces?
I believe it's 7 spaces.
That's- The rest
Yeah,
is
the rest
not
is,
tandem.
the rest is not.
So, since we're on the parking, Mr. Chair, can I ask a couple of questions?
Sure.
Is the parking included in the rent? Because there's a big issue
The
with
parking
council.
is by virtue of
In
the,
their lease, it's not.
it's in the lease.
And so the space is gonna be assigned?
I'm not aware that they assign
Is there a plan
spaces.
for the parking?
They-
Yeah, I think you brought that up last time.
Right.
Their current plan is ties in.
So how does tandem work if they're not assigned?
Well, let's answer one question at a time. They are
Yeah,
assigned.
they're assigned, yeah.
The conditions that we hammered out relative to those issues that related more broadly to the Ocean Avenue area were also made part of the voluntary conditions in the special permit. We worked them out with Mr. O'Brien. I think you'll see those voluntary conditions relative to the fact that the parking is in the lease, that the developer is going to provide $50,000 for traffic study, and make some other recommendations that Mr. O'Brien and your office, Frank, agreed to.
I'm looking for those in the special permit, and I'm not finding them here. You said the city council include that in their decision?
We presented them to the city council.
On what issue?
We
On the,
action on those.
Parking to be
Tandem?
part of the lease.
Yeah, as you can imagine, that was a big discussion.
That was-
Yeah, I know it was, but I don't see it in here, so we'll add it in
We'll
our
put
site plan review letter.
list.
That's fine.
Yeah.
But we did provide to the council and to the city clerk.
Has there been any changes to the plan since this original submission,
Yes, we made some modifications to the plan.
November 22nd?
Right. Those modifications,
Elimination of the 3-bedroom.
right, there was the elimination of the 3 bedrooms. We set back the building.
Hey, Rick, does it make sense for you just to run through them?
Yeah.
Run through the.
Yeah, why don't we do that?
Change plan? Yeah. That makes sense?
Yeah, if you could grab one of those mics, Rick, and just put it on, and just put it towards you so they can hear you.
Okay.
Just real quick, I think everyone's aware of the site. It's 1.1 acres, includes Yankees Pizza is this brown structure located here, the former boulevard, I think it's Marco's Tacos over here, existing 2-family dwelling over here, bounded by Sullivan Field to the left, DCR land to the back, which is the former narrow gauge railroad, which now houses the power line easement, as well as the city's municipal sewer easement. And then there's two multifamily dwellings to the north of us, and obviously the St. George is beyond that. So we're separated by the St. George by two properties. The plan that you last saw was this plan here, which had the building all the way up on the sidewalk, as we thought originally that was the best way to engage the sidewalk with the retail restaurant component. Some of the concerns that we had heard was that folks in the area wanted to see a little bit more of a setback.
Rick,
So,
Rick, just one second. April 2nd, we filed a letter with the president of the council indicating the changes that were made, so you can ask questions right off those changes, as well as the recommendations of the director of the Office of Economic Development.
These are helpful.
Thanks.
so this is the revised plan. Revised plan, as you can see now, there's about 7 feet of green space at the ground floor level. It enabled us to make this sort of little plaza area over here that could be used for some outdoor seating, engaging the restaurant space. This space grew to as much as 15 feet in the front. What you see here in sort of the brown color is the upper level stories of the development. What you see is in the gray is obviously this is built over 2 podiums of parking. So there's a podium of parking at the ground level, at the street level, which has 83 spaces. So folks entering will enter through this existing curb cut. It's right here. The other curb cuts will be closed. Pull in at the street level, and there's full circulation all the way around here. These are your tandem spaces right in here. The differences you will see between the street level and the lower level is the whole front is either lobby, amenity space, or the restaurant retail space, so that the parking gets screened from the rest of the development. You really can't see it from the street. So these are the tandem spaces right here. Again, that were approved as part of the special permit process. To access the lower level, as everyone knows, in this section of the beach, there's about a 7 or 8 foot grade change between Revere Beach Boulevard and the rear of these properties. Folks will travel down this driveway, and they will have full circulation around this whole level here. And that makes up the balance of about 105 spaces for a total of 188 spaces. So there's 188 spaces for 145 units, which makes a parking ratio of about 1.35, 1.4. For comparison, the St. George has 240 units with 260 parking spaces. So they're right at about 1.08 or something
Yeah,
like that.
I think we calculated it, Rick.
I think it's sort of a proven fact that sort of mix, that parking mix works. I know there was some question about it. Nonetheless, it still got approved as part of the special permit process. I just flip to one of the big drawings, just real quick. I think it's worth mentioning here. I know we don't have any representatives from engineering and DPW here today. We are before the Conservation Commission next Wednesday. This site's been designed to fully comply with every standard of the DEP stormwater regs. There are certain standards that we're not required to comply with because we're in a coastal resource area. Nonetheless, we still want the extra effort to make sure that we complied with all of the standards, namely peak rates of runoff. When you're in a coastal area, you don't have to comply with peak rates of runoff. This site's been designed so as to result in a net decrease. The soils were favorable to using subsurface infiltration facilities, a lot of medium to fine sands in the area, which infiltrate very well. So we have an infiltration area along the front and left side, which will take half of the roof, half of the roof. The driveway is mitigated by a trench drain in the system over here. Water system connections Both domestic and fire services will be made out to the street, as well as gas connection will be made out to the street. We currently have an application before DCR, which is pending review. We had a very good pre-meeting with them prior to filing. We expect to have our DCR permit in the next couple of weeks here. Sewer will drain out the back. There is a gas trap for the floor drains in the garage, as required by the Mass State Plumbing Code. We also have an exterior grease trap for the restaurant use, also required by City Review Ordinance. And the sewer line will be a 12-inch line, which will connect out to the rear and connect to the existing sewer easements. As you can see, part of the building here overhangs this driveway. Whether it was a defined access or not, it seems as though the driveway right next to Bianchi's, between Bianchi's and the Boulevard, seems to be one of the most popular access points for National Grid, I'm sure DPW, everyone to be able to get back to this easement. So there'll be a formal easement that will be granted down this driveway. The clearance underneath this overhang, the vertical clearance, is about 17 feet, which exceeds the 13-foot requirement I think that the fire department has, and will also be able to accommodate the National Grid bucket trucks and the DEP's Vector truck to be able to get back to the municipal sewer easement to be able to maintain it.
Is there gonna be a gate or something there, or how's that gonna work? Or just be open access?
I think we're just contemplating open access at this point. I mean, I've been down there several times, over the past year, and almost every single time I go down there, there's a National Grid truck back there.
Right.
I think it's used regularly, so I don't know if it would be appropriate to gate it off. And it's used by so many different municipal folks. I think we just want to keep access open to back there. And the St. George also had a desire to be able to get back there, because even though they don't have a formal easement through this site to be able to get back there, that's how they get to the very rear of their building.
What will the ground surface be right behind the building? Stone dust, gravel?
Back here,
Right at the very rear of the building?
will be paved all the way up to our property
Right.
line, and then it's a hard pan gravel right now. That's what's there, and that's what
The
we'll.
fire department could drive back there.
Fire department could most certainly drive back there.
So will you at least prepare the surface so it's somewhat level and not?
Yeah, I mean, I think
all rotted out?
to the extent that DCR will allow us to
Right.
do stuff back there, we have no
Conservation, I
problem
would
with that.
run that, as long as it's not paved, I think.
It's a hard pan drivable surface. There's all sorts of different size trucks down there all the time now. I mean, I've seen.
That's the old railroad bed.
Yeah, I've seen basically every piece of equipment the National Grid has down there at one time or another, from pickup trucks to
Really?
bucket trucks. 22 feet. That's essentially the way the site plan lays out. Talia Canistra is here from Cube 3 Architect. If you want her, at this point, Frank, just to run through where we're at with the building facades and that sort of thing?
Is it the same as the last presentation?
I think it's basically the same. Like I said, the major differences between this presentation and the last presentation is the building got shifted back, the 3-bedroom units got eliminated, which made a slight variation in the parking requirement. The required parking went down a little bit, and the building footprint itself shrunk a little bit. Not really noticeable, but it put us under the FAR requirement. You might recall the original proposal, we were 3.03 FAR, I think we're 2.93 now. So we meet the FAR requirement, we meet the lot coverage requirement. We were just deficient on setbacks and parking. Obviously, we meet the height requirement in the zoning district because it's 120 feet, we're gonna be under 70.
Yeah, Brian, just put the picture up so people watching can at least see what the numbers are.
Well, I have some questions on the infrastructure.
Yep. Go ahead.
What type of infiltration system you installing?
These will be perforated ADS pipes in an envelope of crushed stone wrapped in filter fabric.
Yeah, what's the diameter?
These are 18-inch, 130 feet long, 2 rows. This is 36-inch.
36.
Yeah, you have your drainage calculations to
Yes,
support those?
yep, we do.
So
Yeah,
you
we had to
submit those
do,
to the city engineer, 'cause
yeah, we've
unless you already have done that.
I did upload some stuff already to Citizen Serve. The site
Yeah.
plans are all on there, the traffic study is on there. I think the drainage report may be on there, I'd have to double check on that one, but I'll make sure we
Yeah,
can
make
make
sure
a
that's it.
copy.
It's in there.
We wanted to get through Conservation Commission first, to make sure that they didn't have any comments. You know, that's, under the Wetlands Protection Act, that's where the real teeth come into play relative to the stormwater regs. Once we get through Concom, then everything will be finalized, and we'll be able to get it into city engineer's hands.
And as part of the conditions of traffic impact analysis, what have you done on that? Or you have a traffic study done already for this?
There's a
project?
traffic study
Impacts?
done, I've uploaded to Citizen Serve.
Okay.
You know, it found, as you can imagine, this is 145 units. You know, the findings of the traffic study was that there was no noticeable impacts on the surrounding traffic. There was a whole bunch of TDM measures that are listed in that traffic study that were adopted by the city council, which were, you know, first and foremost, a shuttle service down to Wonderland Station, you know, trying to promote the use of zip cars and ride sharing, bicycle racks, the whole nine yards. There was about a dozen TDM measures that are in that traffic study.
All right, so that is going to have to be a TDM plan that'll be submitted for the building permit. So the recommendations of that traffic study for TDM measures will be incorporated in a plan to be on file, part of the building.
That was part of the recommendations that
Yeah,
you
I'm
made
just-
November
I'm
22nd.
just
Yeah,
confirming.
if you,
So you
to the extent
understand.
you want to comment on it or take a look at it, it's going to basically mirror what was in the traffic study.
Yeah.
That's what the council adopted. So, you know, if there's any questions or comments on that, you know, we'd be
Okay.
happy to address it.
The expectation, I think, by the conditions was we'll be coming back for elevation review and
Yeah.
landscaping.
We need a final landscaping
as-built
plan,
plan.
elevations,
You know,
material plans.
So we'll be
The findings
back.
and the discussion on the traffic, while we're on the traffic study, is the problem really isn't created by the development that's on the beach. It's really a regional problem. It's the traffic stream that comes from Lynn, Swampscott, Marblehead, Salem, and that whole area down. They all use the boulevard, it seems, in the AM peak, and then they're all coming back that way in the PM peak.
Yep, that's the case.
Larry, when
Not
do
gonna
you
argue that.
expect to break ground?
I think if we're very fortunate, Talio's people will produce full drawings by the end of June, July, right in that area, so we'll be submitting those for Pat to review
And I
shortly
don't know if you
thereafter.
Can answer this question. There's rumors Bianchi's going to relocate.
I'll let
Is
Mr.
that
Philbin
true?
handle that question because he's the boss and
So we're in talks with Bianchi's, and the intentions are, and the commitment is that Bianchi's is going to stay.
No, I mean, right, and by your building, they're
So
relocating.
we're talking about different opportunities and options for them to offset any downtime of their business.
All right, just curious.
no,
Many people are asking.
stop the rumor mill.
Right.
Right.
Rick, back to the building, to the property, can you just go over the properties behind the building again for me, please?
Behind it,
Yeah, so, you got, I see one property line.
you see one property line?
So you got the property line at the back of the building, then what's the next line? So there's the property line.
Oh,
So,
this is the
Yeah, I know
100-foot,
those are potential lines, but
this
then
is,
you got
this is the 100-foot buffer zone from the wetlands.
that.
This is this 24-inch PVC sewer main.
Okay, thank you, I couldn't figure out what those.
Yeah, everything's underground, nothing
So
above
that
ground.
24 PVC sewer main, how far back off the building is that? That's a 100-foot buffer?
It's
right? So
probably
30
about-
feet.
Yeah, probably about 40 feet, 40, 50 feet.
Also, I'm looking at is in terms of when trucks are coming through that easement alongside of the building, they have enough room to turn without going across that sewer? Is that sewer deep enough? We haven't-
Oh, yeah, that sewer is over 8 feet deep.
Okay, so we can,
There's no-
we needed to go back, that we could shoot straight out to the building before we had it.
Yeah, here's, I don't know if you can see this, actually, you know what, it shows up better on this plan. This is that sort of gravel path that's there right now.
Yeah.
And so it's crossing the sewer. That sewer is being driven on all the time as it is. But at 8 feet deep,
All right.
it's not gonna feel anything now.
Yeah, we have easements with National Grid because we're starting a dredging project of that Eastern County ditch in the fall, all the way up.
Back here.
From Revere Street all the way to North Shore Road, yeah.
Is that how they're gonna access the park?
No, the park has its own separate gate right here.
It still has their little driveway?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, if we can have the architectural plans up there, take a look at those.
And real quick, before we get into the architectural, so you'll notice when you look on Citizen Serve, we haven't uploaded the architecturals. Our permit set is gonna be complete on May 24th. So our thinking was to wait until May 24th before we uploaded those, just because if we did it now, they're just gonna be replaced. I didn't wanna create confusion.
And then we can set up another site plan review meeting to go over the final architectural materials
Okay.
and final landscaping plan.
I'm Talia Canestra. So just to go over the building in general, we have 2 levels of parking. One is below grade, one is at grade. That's separated by a 3-hour podium, and then there's 5 stories of wood framing above at 3A construction. 145 units, there's about 6,000 to 10,000 square feet of amenity space. Part of that is on the upper floor, a bit of like a sky deck, not on the roof, on the first floor of the, thank you, on the top floor of the residential unit, so it's accessed right off of the residential corridor. There's a firewall, a 3-hour barrier right through here in the building, so we have 2 phases, and both have 2 means of egress on the first leg, and then the horizontal means and another stair tower on the north leg. The materials that we're anticipating right now are fiber cement panel and lap siding, some metal panel accents, some cementitious panels along the ground floor at the retail, and then up this corner here, and continuing back around the building to the lowermost access of the garage. Just to show what the street level would look like. As Rick mentioned, we set the building back about 7 feet from the property line, so we're gonna have some nice landscaping elements in the front of the building here. These 2 panels are the only places where the parking would be visible, but we're actually blocking that with screening, so you won't be able to see into the garage at all.
By screening, you mean plantings?
No, by metal panels that are actually part
Yeah,
of the
but-
building facade.
But to block the metal panels, we'll need to soften those. We'll talk about that. but
Yeah, there's
find the
landscaping in
plan-
front of that.
Landscaping in front of those.
Frank, who'll
Yes.
come in with the metal panels with the reflective design on it? I'd like them to try to incorporate that in the project.
Yeah,
Is that
that was,
this project?
no, that was 90 Ocean Avenue. Yeah.
Right, maybe you could look at that. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll look at that, because we're
Right.
trying to make that parking garage area as attractive as possible and less intrusive to the public eye.
Yep.
And also on the southern face of the building, that parking level there to be
Yep.
screened. And
Yes.
significant plantings there to block that out.
Directly behind those panels is actually the turn radius, it's not like parked cars. Is that
Correct,
right?
yes, it's just the access drive.
Yeah.
Mhm. But we actually have, through the design process, we've done studies, and the garage is going to be mechanically ventilated. It's not open any longer. So
Oh, good.
there's just solid walls all around, and then we do some architectural detailing on the
right.
exterior to kind of soften up those solid walls.
That's good to know.
Mhm.
Yeah, you gotta look at your fire code then too, because it's now considered a windowless structure, so. make sure
Yes,
you're
yep.
addressing that.
Yep, we're designing to all of those requirements, yep. And then we just have some storefront along the retail edge, potentially for 2 tenants. That's not fully developed yet, but making it very activated on the street edge. Some outdoor seating on our property beyond the sidewalk line, now that we have a little bit more of a buffer before the building starts. And then above here, in between the residential legs, it's a landscaped courtyard with a pool for tenants to use and enjoy during the warmer months. Do you have any other your question?
It's hard to me, for me to see, but the lobby entrance is on the southern end of the building. correct?
Yep, it's actually right off of here, so I can show you here. So on this corner here is the residential entry where the leasing lobby would be, and that connects up to some amenity space on the first floor of residential. And then you'd have your two retail entries here, and your drive aisle is off to the side over here.
And the garage has its own access, right?
Correct.
Okay.
So, on that, so there seems to be some issues with a couple of the buildings that we had to resolve that were recently developed. Can you explain to me a little bit about garage exits? What do you have?
For pedestrians or
Yes.
vehicles? For people?
For people?
Okay, so in the garage levels, Rick, I'm actually gonna use your plan. So, this is showing the upper level, where you access the garage here. All three stair towers are accessed from both levels of the garage, and both elevators also access each level of the garage. From here, we have a 2-hour protected exit from the first floor out to the street in front here. Through here, we have a protected enclosure that gets you right to this sidewalk here and brings you out to the front of the building. And then in this stair tower on the lower level, due to the grades, we have an access point here that brings you out and around through the drive.
Okay, how about lower level?
The lower level, all three stairs are accessed, but you would need to go up through these two to the levels at grade, and the lower level access is through here directly.
Both levels would be accessible through an elevator, correct?
Yes, two of them.
Be two elevators.
The front of the site is like 15 feet high, so the bottom stairwell up front is gonna be in the dirt.
That's the problem we're having. So you're graded on the left side of the building, right?
So we're
So-
actually leveling this out to be pretty much at grade to the front of the building so that you have an accessible sidewalk.
Awesome, good. That's the issue that other buildings have run into.
So, just real quick, on the lower level, how
Yes,
many exits on?
3.
Just that one?
4 technically, if you wanted to go through the car exit.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Yeah, just one curb cut on the boulevard, that's it.
Right.
Larry, are you guys gonna be working with DCR to reconfigure, redash that whole intersection next to Sullivan Park? Is that part of the mitigation?
I think we're
That's where the
funding,
whole choke point is.
yeah, we're funding the traffic
Yes,
study,
to the side.
and I think the results of those traffic studies.
That could be a major.
We're doing a waterfront traffic study that they're participating in.
Okay.
We're financially participating in it and paying for it.
For the record, we actually offered to DCI to redo the field at no cost, and were declined. So any entrances and whatnot, because you can get into the field at the rear, redo that, even give them some parking, what they wanted, and they couldn't decide what they wanted, and so,
Oh, they can still have that.
but we did offer.
Rick, are you proposing a new bump out in the front of the building on the boulevard?
No, that exists.
That's the existing?
That's
bump out?
existing.
Okay. So as far as streetscape improvements, obviously DCR controls that, but the trees, there are existing tree pits there. We're going to recommend adding as many more as we can.
Yeah, I mean, so you can see the existing tree pits show up on the plan here.
Right.
There's no plan to change any
No,
of
those are
that.
existing mature trees.
Yeah, we'll take over, we've requested to take over part of the sidewalk, basically up to the tree pit, so we can leave a 5-foot minimum sidewalk there during construction. This whole sidewalk will be reconstructed after construction, for any panels that get damaged or anything like that. And then there'll be plantings, there'll be new plantings that'll be put in this 7-foot area here.
Yeah, so that whole front yard area will be part of the streetscape.
Correct.
Incorporated in the streetscape as part of public use for the restaurant use. So that's,
Yeah.
we'll work out those details when we sit down at the next site plan review meeting.
Okay.
And for the architect, that's one thing we're looking at, is that ground level plan of materials will be kind of distinct from the rest of the building to show that as a
Yes,
Yeah,
commercial
that's
area.
definitely.
Those landscaping plans are being created now, so we'll have a pretty detailed landscaping plan for you for the next site plan review.
Very good.
So you haven't got to hydrant flow test or anything like that yet, or how far?
We did do a hydrant flow test, I can submit those, I know the
Yeah.
mechanical engineer has it.
Submit everything you have on plan.
Well, there's a hydrant in front of you, right?
Correct.
Pretty sure.
Hydrant right here.
Yeah.
And that's a 10-inch line that we put in recently.
Good line.
Yeah,
Larry,
we
the
didn't
only,
have any issues.
the only other thing that'll probably go on the site plan letter is that we can put a camera on the building facing outside.
Coming for the police department?
Yeah. We've been trying to add them all along. So I'll get you the info on that.
If you could, because we'd have to, Matt would have to work with our joint partner on that to make sure
Right.
it's all,
We'll get you the specs and put the camera in it.
Yep.
And it's internet-based.
Mr. Philbin will work on that.
But it's good for everybody.
Yeah.
I don't know if the time's now or whenever, but as far as construction goes, I do require a 241 plan. So that's a construction control document to look at your construction from beginning to end. From a fire safety standpoint, it gives me what you're gonna do. I'm possibly gonna ask for a third-party review on the sprinkler. Okay. Fire alarm, I think we can work through pretty well. That's pretty much it. So, feel free to get a hold of me if you want as you're progressing with questions.
And if you need to add the plans as part of the chapter 148 review, just let us know. We tried to parse out what we thought you'd need, but if you need more, just let me know.
I have one more big question. What's the work hours gonna be? Because we'll be getting called every second.
Whatever the ordinance allows.
Yes. It's
Whatever the ordinance allows.
8 to 5,
Say-
unless you allow it earlier.
No, if anything later, not earlier. So I would say we'll
Yeah.
be staying with that, at least for the,
Last couple of special permits.
maybe not when you get inside the building, but
Yeah.
for
The
the
last couple
main
of special permits
construction.
we did, Frank, you put those hours of construction in for a reconstruction project, so
Yeah.
you want to put those in, that's fine.
Right, we should put that
Also
on the
for
site plan.
budgeting purposes, as you're doing hot work on the building, however you're tying the podium, the building to the podium, and when you're doing your HVAC work and everything else, there will be fire details required, so I have that information if you need it. That's it.
One other question, Rick. The loading spaces for the restaurant commercial uses, they're going to be configured the way they are now through the boulevard?
Yes.
And on the boulevard? Okay,
They're gonna be front-loaded.
yeah. And your exterior grease trap, you have that shown in here on the...
Yeah, it's already shown on the plan, it's in the back here,
Okay.
which makes sense, because they go back there to maintain the sewer anyways, they can get right at it and pump it out, no problem.
Rick, where's the dumpster?
You have trash from
Or
inside.
trash removal, what's the
Trash
plan?
sheets that lead down to an internal room, and that would be
The
loaded
rolling
down.
ones?
Yes.
So they'll go inside the garage and empty them,
Yeah, so,
the company,
yeah, so the trash truck will actually pull down here,
and roll them out and put them in?
roll them out, empty
Okay.
them, back in here.
All right, so that, just,
Nothing's gonna be up on the boulevard, if that's what your
Okay.
question was.
Yeah. Okay, so when you get close to finalizing your architectural plans and the landscaping plan, we'll come back.
Come back.
This board and we'll wrap this up.
Yeah, probably towards the end of May, but, and we'll all
Okay.
have it. If, like I said, if you wanna look on the website, you'll see the traffic studies there, the site plans are all
Yeah.
there, so, to the extent you want to
Yeah,
look at it.
well, I'm going to try to get the site plan review report on the permitting on the site as soon as possible, so that's done on there, and the other departments can look at it and see what their responsibilities are.
Do you know how that works when multiple drawings get loaded up? In other words, if there's a revision? I just don't know how you see it on your end, and that's why I hesitated to upload the architectural, so I didn't want to confuse things. with
Yeah.
just a-
well, I think
I
the old
have
ones
access
can be
to that,
deleted.
but it's complicated. We really like seeing the hard copies and responding to those.
My recommendation is when you title it, when you upload it, use a date form.
Yeah, we do that anyways, that's how we do it by.
Right, and then keep putting a new set
Just so.
up.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to have, 50 sets of floor plans in the floor plan folder.
No.
You know what I mean?
We don't want to see that.
Well, I think they can be deleted.
It depends unless there's comments on it.
I think it would have to be deleted on your end, though, I don't think I can.
I don't think you can.
No,
It's
that's
gonna be
what I
a
meant,
record.
we could clean up the file.
So, but it's a learning process, so.
Okay, Have you started your access permit process with DCR?
It's under, we had a pre-meeting with them, and we filed it, I think, 2 weeks ago, so.
And you said
We're expecting it the first week of May.
Concom is, the hearing is
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
And we're hoping that once the deputy gets through with talking to the chief, we'll be filing a license on 148
148, good.
with the city council.
Yeah.
And I think at that point, we'll just be looking at building permit and construction phase permits.
Right.
Okay. Any other questions? No, thank you.
You guys brought piles there, No, so there won't be that much noise.
You're out of that heat.
That concludes
Okay, that concludes site plan review meeting for April 24th, 2018.